Hi, welcome to the Coaching Game. I'm Laurie Lawson, and tonight my guest is Penelope Hsu. I have to tell you, she had to come on. You had no choice. I happened to meet her at an ICF party, and we were just talking, and she tells me that she's a pediatrician. I said, oh, maybe she's, takes care of some coaches' kids, or something. No, she's a coach and a pediatrician. And I went, what? Where did this concept come from? So I said, you got to be on the show, because as far as I know, you are the first. You are the first that I know. There may be some out there. So welcome to the Coaching Game.
Thank you.
I'm so thrilled to have you.
Thank you so much for having me. This is so exciting.
Isn't it fun?
Yeah.
I think the first thing that we want to know is, what are you doing?
What are you doing?
What are you doing? How did you get into this?
Yeah, right. It's a very weird kind of combination.
But so needed. That's why we're so excited.
Yeah. I mean, I think, so my personal relationship with coaching started several years ago. I kind of hit a rut, as we often do.
Yes.
And I was really stuck. And I've done therapy before, and it's worked before. And then this time, for whatever reason, it wasn't working. I was going to church, I was journaling, I was just, anything, everything, exactly, right, all these things. And I just was not moving. I was just really, really stuck. And
were you a pediatrician at that point?
Yeah, I've been a pediatrician for, I'm going to age myself here now, over a decade, right? Like almost 15 years.
Very young in med school, yes.
Yes, I went when I was 10.
Yes, there you go. That'll work.
Genius, prodigy. So yeah, I'd been working as a pediatrician. I was working in a very stressful environment, which wasn't helping. And, I wound up working with a therapist who then told me that she was also a life coach, to which I promptly said, I don't care. I don't want
any of that stuff. None of that.
I don't know what that is. That's not a thing.
Keep it to yourself.
Yeah, exactly. That's not a thing. I want therapy.
Now I'm really amazed that you became a coach. I can't wait to hear this story.
Well, I mean, I give her a lot of credit. I give my coach a lot of credit because she was like, okay, fine, Miss Science, fine. We will do it your way. We do science, fine. I'm an LCSW, no problem. But if it's not working, will you be open to trying something different? And I said, okay, fine, whatever. Because at that point, I was just so stuck. I was willing to try anything. Yeah. And of course, lo and behold, the coaching stuff worked. None of the therapies.
Surprise!
Yeah, surprise! Who knew? The question, like I said, I've done therapy before. I was a psych major, so I kind of know a little bit about how all this stuff, psychology works. Right. And the coaching questions that she were asking me were unlike anything that anyone else had asked. Mm-hmm. We went to places that I didn't even really remember, you know what I mean? Right. And dug through patterns that I could not see before, and then all of a sudden they became crystal clear, and I can't even tell you how many times I was just like, like what?
Coaching face, yeah.
Yeah, right? The terror/awe of I've just seen, this decades-long pattern that now becomes crystal clear and becomes so easy to change. But you have to see it first. And she changed my life, this woman. Her name is Tamara Green. She's amazing.
We got to give her a shout out,
yes,
of course.
Yes. So she changed my life. And I was no longer stuck, and I was moving forward, and I changed jobs, and, I started just feeling better. And then one of my jobs at the time was I was working in a community health center in Chinatown with a teen population, kind of a high-risk teen population. And our facility, dispenses contraception, and we get federal funding to do so, and birth control, and all these kinds of things, and STD testing, counseling. And so I started seeing the same patients over and over and over
with
and
the same
over,
problem,
with the
right?
same problems, not making any different choices, right? And they would see me, they would see a different and they would see all of us, and nobody was really getting through to them to really understand why they were making these choices. And again, teenagers don't often know why they're doing things.
No.
But I don't know, I was just I'm gonna try one of the questions that my coach asked me. and I'm just going to see what happens, right? The worst case is nothing happens.
Right.
And we just give her 3 more months.
In 3 months,
yeah. And, you know, I kind of got like a doe in headlights kind of look initially, where like, you know, why are you asking me this? Like, you're my doctor, you're not my shrink, you're not my therapist. I'm like, I'm just curious, right? And that's, I think, the other thing that's so nice about coaching is just always coming from a place of openness and curiosity and not judgment.
Yeah.
Right? As a physician, like, it's always on me to figure it out, to have the solution, to have the answer.
Right.
And as a coach, I don't have to do that. And it takes a lot of pressure off of me. But it also allows for a different kind of conversation to happen, right? Where if I'm trying to tell you what to do, it's obviously very unidirectional. If you don't like it, too bad, right? You know.
Right.
Whereas if I'm asking just questions and I'm curious and I'm not trying to judge you, I'm not trying to come up with what I think is the best plan for you, but I'm asking you what you think is the best plan for you, that changes the dynamic entirely. And I have this one patient in mind in particular, because she was just very, very sexually active. And over the course of a couple of visits, we kind of dug through a whole bunch of stuff, and she kind of had the moment, you know? She's like, oh my God, is that what I've been doing?
That's forever going to be the coaching
moment,
the aha moment.
Yeah, the aha, right? Terror / enlightenment. And, you know, and she was someone who was just basically living with her boyfriend and had quit school and was just sort of working at like a Burger King or something and didn't really have a ton of direction, to, after kind of digging through that pattern, deciding that she wanted to go back to school and still working, but, you know, going to school part-time and getting her GED, and then reconciling with her parents and moving back in with her parents and not being with the boyfriend. And I was like, who is you? Like,
really? How did that
happen? And it was a great aha moment for me. Like, this stuff works.
Yeah.
It really
not only on
works.
me, but on other people. Yeah.
It works. And so, and then began like, I don't know, a 6 or 9 month period where I would just constantly bug my coach. Like, okay, so what do you do if somebody's like this? What would you ask if somebody was stuck in this? And after about 6 months of that, she was like, stop it.
Really? I'm not here to train
That's
you.
right. Stop asking me. Go take a course. Like, you're going to do this. I don't know if you've realized it yet or not, but you're going to be coaching people because you can't stop asking.
Amazing.
So go take a course. And so I did.
I have a theory that coaching calls who it wants, and it was obviously just calling you, and you finally heeded the call. You said something so interesting, a couple of things, because we're both from IPAC, which if anybody watches the show, you know I am, and it's divided into 3 mods. So the first mod for me was like all about me, and it was like, oh, this is so cool. And the second mod was, you know what, this is so good, I have to share it. And that's when I decided to become a coach. When I took the training, it was maybe, I don't know what I'm doing here, but so that's interesting. So don't lose heart if you go, you know, just go in and have the experience, and it will call you. It will definitely call you. But I when you said it's like your job as a pediatrician is to have all the answers, and oh my God, we have, and I hope it's changing with each generation, but we idolize doctors, and they are gods, and they must tell us what to do, and we must obey. And now you're trying to bring into play, oh, you have a say too. And it's like, what? No, I have a doctor who goes, you're so refreshing, because I recently got a diagnosis, and I'm going, well, tell me everything you know. And she was, but you're so refreshing because you don't want me to tell you what to do. And I go, no, just give me the information and we'll figure this out together. But yes, but so how on earth, how are you meeting that challenge? Because it's got to be a daily challenge. So.
It is, and it's definitely something that I wrestle with. I do not have it, I'm not always in coach mindset, you know? I mean, there are times where, you just kind of have to tell a patient what to do, right? I mean,
sure. I mean, you're writing the prescriptions. Like,
right.
It's up to you,
If you have strep throat, you need antibiotics.
Exactly,
there's really nothing to negotiate. I don't really care how you feel about it.
Just take them and
see me
in a week. Yeah.
Right. I don't need to know the first time you had strep. Like, it's pretty straightforward.
Cut and dry.
Yeah. The challenge for me is kind of knowing when to flip back and forth. You know, when with a teenager who, you know, is kind of in a cycle that I can see that she can't see, that's sort of, I guess, an intuitive hit, right? To then sort of move away from, let me tell you how to live your life, little girl, to, let's talk about your life. Even with some of my younger patients who don't even speak, their parents are.
That's a whole other game.
It's a whole other thing.
Yes.
But, again, just watching their dynamic and seeing where I can be of service, right? Sometimes it is just saying that this is how you need to feed your child and this is how many ounces and how many hours. But then there's other times where, and I think I'm getting better at this as I do more coaching,
I'm sure
right?
I'm sure the more you get to try,
Yeah,
the better you get.
yeah. It's really, it's fun. It's fun to get these little intuitive hits, right? Instead of just always being like, what do I think is the right thing? Like, what am I getting that I just need to bring up,
It's called awareness, just an awareness that a lot of doctors just, here's the symptoms, here's this cure, and let's
and that's
move
it.
on. Keep it moving,
Right. But there's a lot in healthcare that isn't that straightforward, like strep. There's a lot in healthcare, with chronic diseases, for adults. Obviously, I'm a pediatrician, so it's a little bit different. But, things like hypertension and obesity and diabetes and all those kinds of things, they require a lifelong commitment to a lifestyle change and to a dietary change. And a lot of people struggle with that. So what is that struggle about?
Right.
And that writing a prescription for get your blood work done in 3 months doesn't hit that at all. Doesn't address the frustration, the disappointment, the denial, the fear.
Yeah, the fear.
And so, flipping into pediatrics, parents have a ton of fear about whether or not they're doing the right thing for their kid, and is this safe, and what's going to happen, and I had one parent so worried about using plastic bottles, there's estrogens in them, and it's a boy, and he's going to grow up to have breasts, and I was like, no, so
not that
so,
much estrogen.
Yeah, but on the surface level, it's just sort of like, okay, plastic is safe. But on the deeper level, like, what are you really worried about? Because it's not just about the plastic bottle, right?
No,
there's always, right, in IPEC, there's a thing underneath the thing.
Yes.
It's never about the thing, it's always about the thing under the thing.
Yes.
So that is one thing that I struggle with, is sort of when do I dig deeper and when do I just kind of stay, not superficial, but stay straightforward.
Right. I would assume that it's instinctual and you've already said it, intuitive. You know, it's like, how can I be in there? Would it be safe, or would it be correct, I guess, to say that maybe the medical information comes first and then the coaching, or is it really a delicate dance?
I feel like, yeah, I think it's case dependent. I think because people are used to interacting with doctors on that informational level, that's sort of the easier way in, right? Let me tell you the facts about this, and now let's explore what it is. Yeah. The one area where that doesn't work is vaccines. And people who are anti-vaccine, right? You can read them, all of the facts in the world, it doesn't land anywhere. So in that case, you don't lead with information, right? You just go straight to like, what
is the problem? What?
Really?
Come on. They're diehards for sure. Yes. And they will be glad. They'll give you the information. It's like, no, thank you. So what do you think, besides what we just said, what is the biggest challenge, or what is one of your largest challenges that I know melding the two, that's your personal thing, but in the field itself, what do you think is or are some of the challenges?
I think the biggest thing is that traditional medicine doesn't give a lot of weight to this type of work, coaching and energy type stuff and awareness and mindfulness. It's becoming a little bit more mainstream now. I'm really happy to read, like my own medical school is starting like an integrative medicine program where they're trying to incorporate things like meditation and mindfulness for the staff of hospitals. So it's starting, but traditionally it's just been very science, right? Science, data, and there wasn't a lot of room for anything in terms of like the inner workings of a person relating to their health. It's always just been about numbers. And so trying to break through that is becoming my mission.
And quite a mission it is. But I hope you're giving yourself credit, because if you start out a profession where you're king or queen of the hill, you know, and you say, you know what, I'm going to give that up and partner with you.
Yeah.
That, I think that takes a very strong ego to go, okay, I don't have to be right all the time. I don't have to have all the answers. I mean, in a certain sense you do. You need to know what to prescribe.
Right.
And things
Absolutely.
like that. I mean, I'm not doubting that she has the medical credentials. She was a pediatrician for a decade.
Yeah.
But I think you need to give yourself credit, because I think that's the problem with some doctors. It's like, what, you're challenging my knowledge. Yeah. Since when?
Right.
I've been king for so long, you know.
Yep.
I'm not giving up my throne, and I think that's going to be a challenge for you. Also, I love that you're out there, you know, slowly introducing this whole idea without saying, okay, now I'm going to, just like your therapist didn't do. Okay, now we're going to do a little life coaching. Now we're going to do a little,
right.
You know, it's like, let me combine it, and then when I come up with something, how are you sharing this with other? How are you sharing it with your patients, and how are you sharing it with other medical people?
Well, with my patients, I just, you know, one of the other basic tenets of coaching is you always ask permission, right? So, you know, just always saying, hey, are you open to hearing, you know, what I'm getting? Like, I'm just getting an intuitive hit about this, or are you open to hearing what comes up for me? Are you open to hearing? And that will sort of guide, obviously, whether or not they are or not. As far as like medicine, my goal is to
a big slow enterprise.
Exactly. My goal is to, you know, partner with medical schools, residencies, hospitals, doctors' offices, and just bring that message of why self-awareness is important, why mindfulness is important. Traditionally, people in healthcare, you know, the joke, right? Doctors are the worst patients. It's so true. We don't take good care of ourselves. Self-care is not something that is stressed. I mean, medical school is the antithesis of that, right? Don't sleep, don't eat, don't pee,
really?
Stay up all night, go for 36 hours, like, and be at the top of your game.
Exactly.
Go, right? That's what's expected of us.
Very good point.
You know, so
very good point.
So self-care. No. So just bringing that concept of why is that important for those of us in a position to be caretakers of others, those of us in the position where people are coming to us for our information and our guidance. If we're completely depleted, how much service can we really be? And so just bringing that concept of why self-care is important, and then trying to teach a few basic coaching concepts to clinicians so that they can help move their patients forward. Again, open-ended questions is something that, you know, it's the bread and butter of coaching.
Yeah.
And it's not always in medicine, right? In medicine, it's almost like it's the opposite. How many days have you been sick? Where does it hurt, right? A lot, a little, or medium, you know, like it's very like, again, give me a data point.
Right.
Whereas, you know, open-ended questions, you don't get data points, but you get the story. You get the underlying story.
What about doctors not having time for the story? Because I can see that I have some doctors, it's like a treadmill, you know, it's like, okay, on, off, get on, next. And so what about that?
That is definitely another challenge. But I will say that, you know, if in the larger scheme of things, right, if you have, let's say, like an overweight patient who, you know, their cholesterol is terrible and their sugars are getting high, and you just kind of say, okay, you need to lose 10 pounds and change your diet and da-da-da, and here's a statin, come back in 3 months.
Right.
And then that patient just kind of keeps coming back. You kind of spend a lot of time with them. True. In each individual interaction, maybe 15, 20 minutes, but they're coming back over and over and over again because they're hitting a wall and they're not moving. So you will spend, you know, their charts will be this thick because you've spent so much time cumulatively versus spending a little extra time, right? Send one visit that's 30, 35 minutes, get to the bottom of it, and then actually really shift them. They'll come back less. You know, once anybody feels empowered, right, change happens much faster. And so if you can do that, in the long run, you spend less time, you spend less resources. You don't have to check on their labs because they're normalized because they believe that they can do it and they want to live a healthier life, versus just checking labs every 3 months and prescribing things every 3 months and having the same conversation every 3 months is frustrating for everybody and you're wasting time.
What a good point. Wow. good point. So what are your plans for this new year? It's like, what you gonna do with all this? I can't even imagine where you will start. What are you doing?
Well, the first thing is, my goal for 2018 is really to like get this message out to whoever will listen, you know. And I don't expect every medical school and every doctor to kind of buy in, and that's okay. But that's what I really want to do. I want to be working with groups and organizations to spread this message, to improve the quality of life of not just the physicians and the staff, but of their patients. Yeah. And I'm starting that in January, actually at the Chinatown clinic that I was mentioning before. I'm going to be giving a speech talk workshop on, probably more of a workshop.
Obviously, it's in the works, yes.
Yeah, it's still very fresh. January 17th, though, I'll be presenting something on mindfulness, on how to survive like a really stressful work environment. And
now, is this for the people, the employees of the clinic?
Yeah.
Oh, man, okay.
Yeah.
And then they can, I know a lot of problems will trickle down, but this I thought is, we're not talking money, we're talking, and then they can kind of, whatever they absorb, maybe pass it on to the people who take advantage of the clinic.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, I could certainly see this helping patients also, you know, but, but I feel like somebody said to me recently that like I would have a unique voice. I would be able to penetrate the medicine because
her voice slows down.
It's just so big.
And it moves so slowly.
It moves so slowly. But because I speak medical, right, that I can reach medical personnel in a way that a regular life coach may not be able to.
You're absolutely right. Absolutely.
And so that's sort of why I've decided to sort of focus on the medical staff and medical personnel first. Obviously patients too, but I think the harder thing to move is medicine. So of course the bigger challenge is where I want to go, right?
Of course. But I have to say, anyone who's your patient is going to get the benefit, of course. You're not going to just say, oh, well, I'm dealing with medicine right now. You know?
Course.
So if you're interested, what are they going to find on your website? Are they going to find information about this workshop?
They will find information about the kind of meta workshop. I'm calling it Prescription for Change.
How cool is that? I love it. I love it.
So that is sort of this new concept, this new workshop that I want to roll out, and it's going to look different depending on the organization, right? Like I said, this is a busy clinic. I also am trying to work with the hospital that I trained at to work in their emergency room with their emergency medicine fellows, and that's a very different environment.
Oh my goodness, I can't even imagine.
So sort of tailoring, like what in your specific situation are the biggest stressors, and then how do we support you? How do we build into your daily routine and into your mindset ways to kind of stay resilient depending on what your environment is in. So the website has information for individual coaching. It has a lot of information about this Prescription for Change program. There's different versions of it depending on who you are, right? So there's a version for like hospital administrators because they have a very different set of issues. Then there's stuff for the clinician, and then there's stuff for like students that are just starting out. And obviously the more people I work with, the more versions there will be, you know.
Wherever the need is. And I'm sure it's good.
Yeah.
And then I'm sure in 2019 you'll be taking on the insurance companies.
Oh,
yes? God. Now talk about a need. We got it there, but I would highly recommend you stay away from them. Everyone seems to be doing that. So you know what? One thing I want to make clear, because you cleared it when I was saying just before the show started, we were talking, and pediatrics. You're thinking, oh, ages, infant to 13, 14. That's not true, right?
No. Cradle to college is pediatrics. So birth to 21 usually.
Yeah.
Some places 18. Some places up to 26.
Okay.
Because when Obamacare came into effect, they allowed kids to stay under their parents' insurance until they're 26.
So perfect.
So you could see. So yeah, there are some times that I'm seeing a 25-year-old, which doesn't feel like pediatrics, but it is. It is.
Okay. No, I think it's a good point to make because I'm thinking, well, I don't have a kid. What do I care? But it's like, but I know people who have kids with that are within that range. So the fact that you were out there doing that. What's your ideal situation? What resources are you looking for?
Oh my gosh. My ideal situation is like working with a medical school and developing a curriculum.
Wow.
Right, where like from day one, as soon as you walk into medical school,
early.
early.
Yes, yeah.
And I do think my background in pediatrics, has that perspective of like, get them young, right? Get them when they're open, get them when they're sponges for knowledge, versus someone like me who's been out for over a decade, and you're like, I have my own thing and I figured it out already. I'm doing fine.
That's how I felt. Like, where were you when I needed you? And then it's like, oh, all right, I guess I can learn a little more.
But So ideally, I would be working with a medical school, developing a curriculum from day one that, again, teaches these concepts of self-care and mindfulness, builds resiliency tools for them as they go through the different stressors of medical school, and then reinforcing it throughout all 4 years of medical school with, workshops, group coaching, individual coaching, bringing in other types of speakers and just really kind of building in a wellness component for medical education.
I cannot imagine a more needed venture, and I'm not even thinking about patients. I'm thinking about it is and we were joking about the insurance companies, but between the insurance companies and the demands of parents and challenging drugs that are becoming resistant to what's out there.
Yep.
And the constant medical update and the social media, I can't imagine how a doctor functions. I really think you have to, like, if you're a doctor, and you'll tell me if I'm right or wrong, but I think you have to narrowly focus at this point and just go, okay, this is what I know, and I'm going to do that. So you're trying to expand that.
Yeah.
With the health benefit of well-being for the doctor or the clinician, or that's an amazing goal. And again, I ask you, what are you doing?
I don't know.
When I heard it, it was like, really? This is so amazing. So on Gaining Clarity, Guiding Clarity, not Gaining Clarity. You'll get that later, hopefully.
That's right.
We're going to guide you to it.
That's right.
They're going to find some more information about how this, maybe where it could be administered, some of your teachings and your workshops and stuff. Totally. And on an individual basis, what are they'll be just helpful information?
Yeah, I mean, I think, right, so I do also individual coaching, right? So that's really fun.
Oh my gosh, okay, yeah, please, we got to keep her nice and polished here.
Yeah,
we don't want her burning out before she helps other people who are burning out.
No, so I mean, I love working one-on-one with clients, right? I mean, I think that also is that therapeutic relationship is something that's really, really special, and it's something that I do cherish. So for individuals, I do that also. And then I'm going to start, I mean, again, this is all a new venture. So we're kicking it off in January. But ideally, I'm going to have like little short videos of just sort of like, 5 minutes. We
have no time left.
Oh.
So I'm going to tell them, go to Guiding Clarity. It's right at the bottom. I'm going to thank Penelope Hsu so much. Please carry on, and if you need help, let us know.
I will.
We want you to succeed. Thank you so much for being on the Coaching Game.
Thank you so much.